Welcome back to Viewpoint. Covid-19 has had a big impact on tourism and businesses that depend on tourism. At the moment, there are no cruise liner visits to Gibraltar, and there are countless empty sunbeds on the Costa del Sol, meaning that there are fewer day trippers to the Rock of Gibraltar. What does that mean for local business?
I think Main Street needs to reinvent itself up to a point, because look, people sometimes say that there is, that there's same things are being sold on Main Street and that we might not have that much of a variety. Well, I mean, if businesses are successful and they have a successful model, they won't change. So I think now is the time for that. So that's why when I say that we might need to reinvent ourselves up to a point. There will be businesses who will think that they're successful and they will just tighten their belts and they will hold on because they've made money in the past and they will hope to make money again with the same model that I've had. But there'll be others who will think that we need to change, and I think it's important. This gives us time for reflection. I don't think Main Street will be the same as it's always been, because people have gotten used to online purchases. I'm not somebody who is a person who likes online, but I like to feel, I like to see things, I like to try things on, and but there are people who are comfortable sitting at home, pressing a button and receiving it through the letterbox. But that changes Main Street, because Main Street is not about that. So I think people will have to change, but it's gradual, but again, I'm confident that we'll be successful and Main Street will be successful. As you know, we're doing the bid. I think that will help. So we're not sitting down and not doing anything about it. We're being proactive, and Main Street, the Main Street community can expect that from me. They have an ally. I know what it is. I know the challenges, and I will be there to fight it with them.
What maneuverability do you have on your overheads? I mean, nobody wants obviously staff to lose their jobs, but your main costs will be staff and rent, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So apart from the cost of the goods, it's our rent and our staffing costs. Our rental, obviously we're the largest retailer on Main Street, so you can imagine the amount of rent that we pay. Unfortunately in Gibraltar, the rental agreements are upwards only. So even though trade in general on Main Street has been in a decline for the last 8 years, obviously this has accelerated it significantly. But being in an upwards only rental position is just completely unsustainable. So our biggest challenge, our single biggest challenge, is absolutely renegotiating with our landlords and hopefully coming to a fair rental that can enable us to trade going forward and can enable the landlords to continue to receive a fair rent.
And I suppose, without understanding fully the position of the landlord, that he or she would want to continue having somebody renting such a large amount of space, and would appreciate the fact that these are unprecedented times, and that business cannot be expected to deliver the same sums as they were delivering last year. I mean, presumably that logic will prevail?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that both parties, need to work together in this instance. It's unprecedented times. We're running at minus 47% progressively. There is no way that we can afford to pay the same level of rent that we have been paying in the past. So I think it is absolutely right, Jonathan. It's a case of working together with the landlords in a joint effort. We celebrated 50 years in Gibraltar in 2018. So we're we're the longest established retailer, or one of the longest established retailers here in Gibraltar. So we want to work with our landlord and agree a fair rental going forward, and a fair rental that can be of benefit both to us to keep Marks & Spencer here in Main Street, and also obviously for the landlord so he gets a fair income for his property.
In respect of overheads, I assume that the main costs would be staff and rent.
Yeah.
What sort of leeway do you have on those? Because nobody wants to see people losing jobs.
Those are two biggest points and costs that we have in our business. On the terms of rent, that's most probably the most important. We obviously got the help in the first quarter that the government did a 50% reduction on pressuring the landlords to help. What is important to note that these costs are still there. They're going to be there for the next quarter and the quarter after that. The problem we have in Gibraltar is that our models are based on a high footfall of people into Gibraltar, and we can just about make it work on the rents that we have. But on the current situation at hand is that we can't afford these rents. And although some landlords are helping their tenants, this is a partnership. And we need to find a model. We need to find a way of talking with the landlord association, the government, a tenants body, maybe the bid group that we're part of now, to find a consultant, a professional that can advise how we can re-look at the whole rent situation in Gibraltar. In the UK, there's been huge pressure on landlords on doing turnover rents. Maybe turnover rents is the way forward. They're linked up and down. In Gibraltar, currently we've only got upward only rents. So
spell that out for us if you would. That means that depending on what trade you do, your rent reflects that.
Correct. So based on what you turn over in a fair manner, you would agree a percentage, and that will reflect what you're turning over that day. It will be on monthly, quarterly or yearly reports, and the landlord would win when we win and help us out when we lose. It's a different model. It's a model that takes time to get used to, but it works in the UK, it works in Portugal, it works in Spain, so there's no reason why it shouldn't work in Gibraltar.
Very interesting. So a conversation to be had?
Yeah, a conversation to be had, and I would ask that the government most probably take the initiative here to most probably get these bodies all in place, get a professional consultant in the UK, somewhere like that knows how to study these things, and most probably give us a good report on how we could take retail in Gibraltar forward. Because at the end of the day, what we don't want to do is have a UK high street that's empty in Gibraltar. There's no point trying to protect it when it's too late. We need to protect it now that we've got a buoyant retail and entrepreneurs business in Gibraltar.
I think at the end of the day, it'll boil down to supply and demand. We have situations where tenants have agreed certain leases with the landlords in the past because their businesses can support that kind of outlay on rent. Things have changed, and then we cannot really expect landlords to reduce their rents immediately, because at the end of the day they are also a business. They are a legitimate business, and whether there are some landlords who have to pay mortgages, there are some landlords who, for them, that is the only income that they have. So the government can't really intervene and force a landlord to do that. But it's about a relationship that I think that the relationship between a tenant and a landlord is like a relationship between a husband and a wife. Both have to be happy. And I think that this is where I think that the tenant would need to have a conversation with the landlord, and the landlord has to be understanding, because they know that there's no business. Business is down by 40%, by 50%, by 60%, by 70% in certain cases. So the landlord has to accept this new scenario that we are in, and that they will have to either they let's put it this way: a landlord is a landlord if he has a tenant. Yeah. If he hasn't got a tenant, he's no longer a landlord. So he has to understand that, and I think tenants also have to understand that they have to be reasonable in what they ask for. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that if both sides are reasonable, there will always be a solution.
And of course, MH Bland did bring some news recently of a restructure going on in the company. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's an ongoing process. Obviously, I cannot give very much detail, because it's actually been negotiations between the unions, the staff, and ourselves. What I can do tell you is that MH Bland has always considered the staff as an asset. We are a family. company, and we're always going to look after our staff. Regrettably, we find ourselves in a position which has been totally out of our control, and we have to make the necessary changes in order to be able to secure our survival as a company long term. What I can tell you is that we will actually look at every single department and make the necessary changes which pertain to that particular department, and we will try and keep the restructure to have a negative impact on our staff, our family, our assets to a minimum.
The challenges you face are challenges faced globally by the tourism industry, and it's something we are hearing worldwide, really. Have you had to make any redundancies already?
No, the redundancies that has been done has been on a voluntary basis.
Okay.
So the rest we're currently working in conjunction with the unions, in conjunction with the staff and their representatives, in order to be able to keep them down to the bare minimum.
Are you able to tell us how many voluntary redundancies you've made?
Not at this moment in time. We actually invited the staff to actually express an interest in it, and we are currently undergoing that process.
I think we need to deal with the reality that we've got, and we need to be careful. You see the UK government itself imposing 14-day quarantine measures in respect of certain countries. Thankfully, they announced that wouldn't apply to us. So we need to deal with the reality. We've clearly got an air bridge with the UK. We clearly have a not an air bridge, but a bridge with Spain. We have the Land Francia, and thankfully that is now working a bit more flowy. So I think steady as she goes, in my view. I don't think we should necessarily go into a sort of massive marketing campaign, which would have been the case had we not had COVID.
The visitor that tends to visit Gibraltar by air normally is in the region of a 55 sort of year sort of age group. No? We might have a situation now because of COVID, because of issues to do with insurance and travel, that we might have to attract people of a different age group. I think that's possible. I think that's possible with event-led tourism. I'm very keen on that. I'm working on that. I was working on that before COVID. This is not an excuse. It's a fact. I think we need to appreciate that COVID has put a lot of things on the back burner. But I'm working with them again, and we will be. Hopefully next year we'll have an exciting events lined up for people to come to Gibraltar for.
Where are you today in terms of footfall and sales? I know that you opened your shop fairly recently.
Yes.
So you can't compare year on year, but what comment can you make?
Exactly. We've opened in November, so we weren't open 12 months ago, so we can't really compare. But what we see is that for the locals, basically, if it's a sunny day, they're all at the beach, and if it's not, they shop. So it's beach, shop, beach, shop.
So you like the Levant?
Not so good, but it started well, so they're still shopping. But anyway, yeah. So
so you like the Levant?
Yes, bring it on.
August will be good for you.
No, it's yeah, for the local, it's a bit special. But the tourists in the last few weeks, it started to pick up a bit. But again, I can't really compare but compared to the lockdown, obviously, and even compared to before the lockdown, it's slowly picking up. So.
Okay, so that's fairly optimistic given the circumstances.
Yes, I think. Yeah.
I mean, you are seeing tourists on Main Street coming into your shop.
You see more Spanish credit cards, more Spanish speaking, more. It's not the majority, but it's slowly picking up in the last few weeks. Yeah.
Okay, so the majority of your business is local?
Yeah, it's still local, yeah.
How are staff feeling, Chris?
They are feeling worried, extremely concerned about the future of the business. We have been open and transparent with our plans and what we're planning to do. We're currently, looking at all of our costs and where we can save. But the senior team here, we're absolutely focused on maintaining the business and working as best as we can to maintain a working business for the future.
And how much has the government's financial steps assisted?
It's been superb. Yeah, it's been absolutely first class. We've had all the support that we could have done. Coming towards the end of Beat 1, we wrote to the ministers. I had a meeting with Minister Darianani to discuss our concerns and what we would like to see in Beat 2. And I have to be honest and say that the government took on board all of our concerns. So it has absolutely enabled us to continue to trade. And I know that the feedback from all of my staff, and we have staff from resident both Gibraltar and in Spain, have really appreciated the support that the government have given them. And without that support, to be honest, I don't think we'd be open today.
How much of your sales would generally be to visitors and how many to locals? Roughly.
We've seen an influx of more local shopping local. The Shop Local campaign must have helped. Also, I think the Gibraltarians know it's their responsibility to shop local. It's also our responsibility as retailers to offer a better product, better pricing, and be competitive as we can to online. There's many ways you can do that, and offering a service is the most important thing.
You started offering a digital service yourselves, didn't you? I mean, I don't know if you started, but you
Yeah,
certainly
we
did more of it.
We did a version of online shopping through WhatsApp and personal that, got us through the lockdown. We turned that off after the lockdown because we wanted people to trade in store. By getting people in store, we're also supporting the economy with staffing and other areas in our business. Tourism is a main factor. And if we don't have that tourism going forward or in the short term, we need to look at reducing costs. So, the support the government has given us in the first couple of months in the furloughing staff has helped exponentially. We'd hope for Beat 2 they're also helping on the averages. Then the rates relief has been fantastic, and the wavering of PAYE and rates has been great, and import duty again. Every little helps, and hopefully they will keep their ear to the ground and hear the retailers and see if we need more help going forward. If we can get to February, March without another relapse, I'm sure we can get this economy roaring again.
Well, that's good. I mean, a nice optimistic note. You obviously have to be optimistic, I suppose, as an entrepreneur. But is that generally how you approach your day, with optimism?
I'm optimistic. There are huge challenges. We've lost Oasis, the brand in Gibraltar that we only refitted under 2 years ago. So we've got those challenges. When do we replace? What do we replace? What does the economy need? What does the market want? There's many challenges. The UK retail sector is in free fall. There are challenges there. We're putting things in place, but it all takes time, and it takes energy and money and workforce to do it. And at the end of the day, we've got a limited amount of resources to do that. So everything takes time to do those things.
How are the staff feeling at the moment?
Look, morale, my staff have been fantastic from day one. I don't have anything negative to say. When we've asked for help from the company to them, from their own pocket, they've helped us, they've reduced hours, and in return, we've tried to help them. They've helped us out mainly in the summer as well, because they might want to spend more time in the beach, so it's win-win for both sides. The staff are optimistic, but also cautious and worried that if things don't pick up, what will it result for them? But at the moment, we're doing good by them, and they're doing good by us, and by that, they give a better customer service to our shoppers.
And how are you feeling about the next few months?
Well, if it's carried on picking up, and if tourists come to Spain and then directly come to Gibraltar, it can only be better. Obviously, we're worried about the second wave. But again, our business is not just a shop, so we have other business, and then all that kind of compensates sometimes. So as long as they don't do all bad at the same time, we're okay. But yeah, I think the only way is up. I mean, we for the local business, for the locals, we could be anywhere that they'll come to us. We've realised that with the lockdown, our online sales have gone really up, and then we said, oh, we need to keep this. And then when the lockdown stopped, it went the other way. So we realized that our clientele is very, very faithful and really.
That's interesting. So you've had to change the way that you sell depending on the circumstances around COVID and whether people are spending more time at home, and you've responded to that.
Yeah, that's
but will
it,
you keep some aspects going forward, do you think?
Yeah, we'll try and push the online sales. We're working on our website all the time to make it better, to make it easier to use, and also to have a follow-up on the history of sales. We're going to introduce that soon. So yeah, and the lockdown, because the business guys were at a bit less work. So then we've managed to make inroads into that. So it's like small business. You need to adapt all the time.
And looking more at the business as a whole, you recently moved into this larger office.
Yeah,
You've obviously invested in the business at a time which has now been hit quite severely.
Yes, it's been lovely. It's been a lovely welcome to the new place.
We have heard of other companies reshuffling and restructuring the way that they work due to declined demand in tourism. How is the business here doing in respect of any issues like that?
We are doing fine, again, as I say. I thought it was going to be worse. We've had to tighten our belts, but thanks God for the clientele we've got. It's going fine. Fine for the moment. We'll do excellent in the next few months, I'm sure we will.
Yo veo bastante menos turismo ahora mismo. Se nota en la entrada, en el parking del coche, hemos aparcado muy cerquita. Bueno, yo lo agradezco. Y es un poco preocupante a lo mejor que no lleve nadie mascarilla. Pero nosotros venimos en España como es obligatorio, y más en Andalucía y tal, la verdad es que nos la ponemos y ya está.
In terms of the bare minimum, what is it that Gibraltar has to offer? It's Gibraltar itself, it's the iconic rock, it's the history, the military history, and I've been going on about this for many years since I've been in politics. And I know that the government talks about sort of, for example, niche marketing, and I think we need to we'll be beating that drum, and I think it's on a cross-party basis at different points in time for many years. But I think we need to probably focus on that a bit more and bring the people who have a special interest in military history, for example. And clearly, the bucket and spade, I think we all recognise, is not going to come here. They'll go to places where they provide a better service. But we need to improve our offering, and I think one of the ways is by improving and marketing more specifically those niche markets which are out there. But clearly, COVID has been a massive, will be a massive consideration into the future.
How hopeful are you that you will be able to negotiate rent, and I mean that the upwards only trend on rents might be revisited in light of COVID?
I think we have to be hopeful. Look, we employ 70 members of staff here in Main Street at the moment. So, we are working extremely hard to maintain the business. We want to maintain it, and as I said, it's a joint agreement. We have to get together and agree a fair rental going forwards.
How difficult is it to keep a sense of optimism about the medium to longer term?
I wake up every morning and I come super positive, and I say today's going to be a good day, but at the end of the day you feel obviously it brings you down. But I'm not the only one. It's affecting everyone.
And I think everyone understands circumstances beyond your control. This is not about you being a bad salesman.
No. I mean, it's just that people don't come in. We don't have a footfall. Yeah. So if there are no people and there are very few people coming in, if there are no people, we can't do any business. Let's all pray that things improve. That's the only thing we can do. And you have to be optimistic. You can't give up. But it's a global situation. It's affecting everyone. But I'm a small business, and that's how it is.
Yeah. Well, we wish you the best of luck. I hope you have more footfall soon.
Thank you.
Just shop local, guys. At the end of the day, the economy needs our support. The government have been good to us during furlough, and if we shop local, we'll get this economy going again.
Obviously nowhere near the levels of a normal July, but look, we know that this is a difficult situation, and we have to deal with that situation. We need to be cautious with our spending. Businesses will need to tighten their belts. Businesses will need to change the model of their business. But I think our entrepreneur is a very intelligent entrepreneur, and therefore I think we will continue fighting, and we will make a success out of it. It will be slow, but I'm sure that we will make a success out of it.
As we've seen on Viewpoint tonight, tourism is returning to the Rock of Gibraltar, but slowly, certainly not yet to the same levels as we'd come to expect of the summer before the coronavirus pandemic hit. Businesses and the government of Gibraltar are asking you to shop local where possible. They remain optimistic about what the future may bring, but they know that they're probably, inevitably, going to have to work harder than ever before. That's where we leave Viewpoint tonight. From my colleague Shelina Assomull, myself and the rest of the team, thanks a lot for watching and good night.